The video is so gross that even the senior principal magistrate Joseph Karanja, who found Terry Ray guilty, warned, were not captured adequately in the particulars of the charge to show the depravity of the chats and photos he shared with fellow pedophiles. MTV has exclusively obtained the disturbing clips and images that Terry Ray used to peddle innocent children on the internet for monetary benefit.
An American man, once condemned to half a century behind bars for unspeakable crimes against children, walks free after just 8 years, to be snapped back into handcuffs when more innocent lives are shattered. In tonight's Dark Echoes episode, we unravel the chilling tale of Terry Ray Krieger, the predator who slipped through the cracks of justice, disappeared into the shadows, then re-emerged to haunt us again. How did a 50-year sentence collapse into less than a decade? What secrets hid behind courtroom doors? And most haunting of all, how many more lives will echo with this depravity? Stay with us as we trace every dark corridor of this story, from Kamiti prison to Mavoko law courts, from ominous whispers to the stock cell where he now awaits judgment once more. To support the channel, join the team, subscribe, like, and leave your thoughts in the comments below. Dark Echoes 254. In the early 1990s, Terry Ray Krieger first surfaced on law enforcement's radar in his home estate of Michigan. In 1992, he was convicted of sexual contact with a minor, a grave offense that saw him serve 3 years in an American correctional facility before his release in 1995. Despite that indictment and sentence, Krieger quietly faded from public scrutiny, locating his life and evading sustained monitoring. By the turn of the millennium, he had vanished from Michigan records and reappeared thousands of miles away in East Africa under the facade of a Benin expatriate. Yet, beneath his veneer lurked the same predator whose crimes had once warranted state intervention, a harbinger of horrors that would later unfold in Kenya. Between December 2013 and May 2014, Krieger orchestrated a calculated campaign of exploitation on Kenyan soil, utilizing a combination of in-person contact and technology platform, including online chat services and offline gatherings. He filmed sexually explicit material involving Kenyan's minors. Investigators later determined that he systematically produced and disseminated these videos, trafficking them through digital network that spanned continents. His operation was not impulsive or opportunistic. It was meticulously planned, target-driven, and executed with cold precision. Community members and law enforcement alike were shocked by the callousness and scale of his actions, which exploited both the economic vulnerabilities and the lack of robust child protection mechanism in certain Kenyan locales. Authorities finally closed in on Krieger in mid-2014. The evidence amassed against him include video recordings, witness statements, and digital footprints linking him to the procurement and distribution of child pornography. After his arrest, prosecutors laid a litany of offense under Kenya's law charges ranging from production and distribution of child pornography to multiple counts of defilement. On October 2, 2014, Senior Principal Magistrate Joseph Karanja delivered a landmark ruling. Krieger was sentenced to 50 years in Kamiti maximum prison, one of the sturdiest punitive measures ever imposed on a foreigner national for sexual offenses in Kenya. In his judgment, Magistrate Karanja lamented the despicable acts that had robbed young children of their innocence, stressing that the gravity of abusing minors warranted no leniency. The 50-year sentence was instantly hailed by victims, advocates, and government officials as a powerful statement against child predators. Civil society groups, who had long campaigned for stronger protection for children, lauded the ruling as a watershed moment that signaled Kenyans' readiness to hold even foreign offenders fully accountable. For a time, it seemed that the country's legal apparatus had effectively dismantled a pernicious network of abuse. Victims and their families felt a measure of relief, believing Krieger would never again inflict harm. Yet, beneath the surface of these celebrated verdicts, an unexpected judicial review was already percolating. Fast forward to November 2022, when the narrative took a perplexing turn. Krieger, then 68-year-old and confined on a wheelchair due to declining health, petitioned the High Court of Nairobi for a retrial on grounds that his original proceedings had been oppressive and procedurally flawed. Presiding over this appeal was retired Justice Momanyi Bonwonga, who had left the bench earlier that year. In a terse ruling, Justice Momanyi concluded that Krieger's challenge was not only fair but necessary, determining that the original trial had failed to meet certain standards of fairness. The judgment quashed the remaining 42 years of his sentence, effectively reducing it to the 8 years he had already served behind bars. No public notice accompanied this decision. The Directorate of Public Prosecutions did not immediately appeal, leaving many to wonder whether judicial complacency or procedural oversight had paved the way for his release. When news of Krieger's exit from Committee Maximum Prison reached the public in mid-2023, it unleashed widespread outrage. Victim rights organizations held emergency press briefings, accusing the judiciary of complacency in the face of child abuse. Prominent activists questioned whether Kenya, long striving to shed its reputation as a haven for traffickers and insurgents, was inadvertently sending a message that wealthy foreigners could exploit systematic gaps and vanish without consequences. Media outlets ran front pages exposés demanding accountability from the High Court and the DPP's office. In response, the Judiciary Service Commission launched an internal review of the appeal process, though its findings were not made public. In the wake of his mysterious release, Krieger slipped into relatively anonymity. His whereabouts largely untracked, his activities unmonitored. This period of unmonitored freedom lasted mere months. On November 10, 2023, Kenyan police arrested him once more, this time on allegations of defiling a 3-year-old girl in Athi River, a rapid and chilling recurrence of the very offense for which he had been convicted years earlier. During his arraignment at Mavoko Law Court in November 21, 2023, Magistrate Barbara Ojo denied bail, citing his extensive criminal history, status as a flight risk, and the lack of any compelling medical necessity that would warrant release. With that decision, the predator who once slipped through Kenya's judicial net found himself back in handcuffs. His case a stark reminder of the fragility of both legal safeguards and public trust. This chronicle of Terry Ray Krieger from his initial U.S. conviction and relocating to Kenya through his 2014 landmark sentencing. In the quiet chambers of justice, the fate of the most vulnerable should never be a footnote. Terry Ray Krieger's story is more than a single predator saga. It is a glaring spotlight on the fracture in our legal system and the human cost of procedural failure. When a man convicted of preying on children in 2 continents serves a fraction of his sentence, we are forced to ask, who truly pays for that shortfall? Every time the gavel falls too softly, it echoes across community, eroding public trust and emboldening those exploiting loopholes. Krieger's early release wasn't just an administrative quirk. It was a failure of accountability. Victims and their families were left without restitution, and society was handed a chilling lesson. Even the starkest laws cannot protect children if the system fails to enforce them. Beyond headlines and outrage, the case underscores the urgent need for transparent appeals processes, robust post-release monitoring, strengthened victim advocacy. Survivors must have access to legal aid, psychological care, and a voice in every stage of judicial proceedings. Krieger's rearrest in November 2023 is proof that predators don't disappear. They merely wait for cracks to re-emerge. When power, privilege, and procedural missteps allow these cracks to widen, children pay the price in trauma that can last a lifetime. Ultimately, this is a call for action for lawmakers, for law enforcers, and for every citizen who believes that true justice is more than a sentence. It's a pledge that no child suffering will be sidelined and that the echoes of Krieger's crimes will not fade into silence. In the end, how we respond to this failure defines the legacy we leave in the next generation. As of now, no trial or verdict for Krieger has been documented in 2025. The most recent known court activity is from early 2024, and the record has stayed silent since then.